Hey guys, what's going on? Dan Wise, FPT Consulting, People Helping People, Communities Method, RDAP Dan. Hope everybody is having a fantastic Monday. I think today's Monday. We wanted to talk a little bit today about some of the stuff going on with a lot of people that are filing for clemency. Well, not necessarily people filing on their own, but people that are hiring, whether it's attorneys, consultants, somebody you might know. We're seeing a lot of issues going on with that. So we want to touch base on that. So we'll give everybody a couple seconds to join in here. And I've got a bunch of notes over here that we're going to jump to. But while we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and talk about what's in the description of this video for any of you that want to jump ahead and don't want to listen to everything. If you've hired somebody to help you file for clemency, whether you're in prison or you're out of prison, you're trying to get a pardon, if you've hired somebody, that's not necessarily a problem. But if you've hired somebody and you were promised like they were going to get it done extra quick, or you maybe didn't get a return phone call, you spent money and you're not hearing anything back, if you feel like you were taking advantage of, there is a complaint form in the description of this video on Google Docs or Google Forms. Go ahead and fill that out, and you might be entitled to either a refund or some other sort of reparations, whether it be legal action or whatnot. Now, a lot of you that have gone through this process, and some of you don't want to respond because, or you don't want to say anything because you're embarrassed. You feel like I should have known better. I don't want to put my information out there. You can remain anonymous, but it's important to know right now that one of the companies that has been doing a lot of these services, that it's done a lot of this, they are currently under federal investigation. A lot of you are seeing it online, whether it be on TikTok or Facebook or Reddit. It's not a rumor. The feds have gone to individuals' houses. They are asking specific questions about these individuals that have taken money for these services. And it's from what we're gathering, from what we've been told, they haven't provided the services, in some cases, just taking money and not returning calls at all. Look, a lot of us have been in the consulting industry for a long time. And we all know you can't make everybody happy. That's not what this is about. But I can tell you, and I was talking to another consultant in the space, that the feds don't come knocking unless there's a reason. And those of you that are going through something right now, whether it be federal indictment or you're under federal investigation or you're out on pretrial services, you know that the feds don't just go randomly start looking at people. If they're looking at somebody and they're sending field agents to people's houses to start questioning them, there's a good chance that those dominoes are going to fall, and they're going to fall hard. And whoever's behind it, and I think a lot of you probably know, they're going to end up back in prison. Wouldn't be their first time going to prison. And the question is it going to be soon? Is it going to be later? There's Christmas baskets waiting for them right now in federal prison. So there's links in the description of this video. So if you want to file a complaint form to kind of let us know if you've been victimized, there's some basic information in there. You can remain anonymous. You can use a fake name. Just got to remember, if you really want help and you really want to get a refund, or you want to bring, exposure to whoever's taking advantage of you, you will have to give your information to somebody. We can keep you anonymous. We're not going to share your information. But if you would like to expose whoever's taking advantage of you, click on that form. If you want to book a free consultation with me to talk about consulting services, or a free consultation where we can maybe give you some free information on what you can be doing right now to better your own situation, we can go through that as well. Personal narratives, character reference letters, all of the things that matter on the prison consulting side of things, what people can be doing to take advantage of their situation right now when it comes to mitigating. We don't really work in the post-conviction side. We did a little bit when COVID was big and people were trying to, they were having some issues with COVID. They were trying to get out early because of that. There was some help with compassionate release that we were helping people with those types of motions. But as far as the post-conviction side on commutation of sentencing, the pardons, really we stay away from that, because first off, anybody that's doing that legitimately, you're going to be waiting a minimum of 12 to 24 months, if not longer. And there's really no appeal process. There's no way to speed up that process. So a lot of you are kind of in desperate times. A lot of you have families that are in right now. And, ever since COVID hit, ever since the First Step Act, ever since the pandemic, there's been a lot of chatter. And really the cockroaches have come out of the woodwork taking advantage of this. and charging people enormous amounts of money, $1,000, $1,200, $1,500 to do what you can be doing free. We actually have the website if you want to attempt to do your own, whether it's a pardon or clemency. You can go right and do it yourself to justice.gov/pardon/apply-clemency. There's a link in the description of the video. Do the form yourself. It gives you complete instructions. And a matter of fact, if you get stuck, reach out to me directly and I'll gladly help you fill out the form. These are one of those things that you've really got to be in a weird situation to hire somebody for these services. I think people probably think they can't do it on their own. As far as prison consulting side of things go, personal narratives, reference letters, PSR preparation, kind of knowing what's next, how to mitigate, that's a little bit different because it's not just filling out a form. There's an education process behind it. And most of the clients that we work with, they'll tell you, we work with them from either the time of indictment through their investigation, through their sentencing, and then while they're still serving their sentence, working with them on things that they can do to maximize some of these programs, whether it be first step, second chance, probation, halfway house. There's a little bit of a process that goes in there where there's a lot of coaching and handholding. It's not just, a phone call here and there. So I think you guys need to understand the vast difference. But if you like, we can kind of jump over. Give me a second here and I will pull it up. We can look at if you're interested yourself, here's the website. I'll pull it up on the screen here so you guys can see it. But this is basically where you'd go. And I don't know if you can see the link at the top here. But we've got justice.gov/pardon/apply-clemency. It's right there at the top. It's pretty self-explanatory. Apply for pardon or commutation. So pardon is if you've already finished your sentence and you want to get pardoned. A commutation of your sentence is if you're currently in prison and you're trying to get out sooner. And that's where a lot of people are kind of falling victim because families are desperate to get their loved ones home, which we completely understand. So you can go through this yourself. It's got in English and Spanish. It will have full instructions. If you click on this, here's the form. You can print it. So if you guys can see that, it should be pretty clear on the screen. Reduction of prison sentence, and remission of fine restitution, reduction of supervised release, probation and parole. I mean, it covers everything. You really just need to fill it out. And honestly, if any of you even have a glimpse, an idea of how to use like AI or ChatGPT, you could really put this form right into AI and have it walk you through the majority of the steps. You obviously want to double check that and fact check what you're filling out because AI is definitely not perfect. But I can tell you without a doubt, most of you that are paying for that service, they're probably doing that. They're probably just throwing it into ChatGPT. They're asking you questions. They're combining everything, saying, fill out this form, and then they mail it out. In a lot of cases, what we've been told, specifically with the company that we know for a fact is under federal investigation right now from the FBI, they've actually sent out field agents to individuals' homes to discuss very specific characters that are involved, that are leading the operation. But some of the things that they have stated is that packages were being mailed out that were empty. They were basically envelopes that were sent certified with nothing inside of it. So if that's true, that's freaking crazy because I don't know how you would think you would get away with it. There are some deep con men, scam artists out there that really just, it's embedded in their DNA. A lot of good people come out of the prison system. But the problem is some of these companies, they thrive on people's, somebody's going through something that's so severe, and they know that a lot of times maybe people will look past the writing on the wall, or they don't see the obvious signals that, hey, probably shouldn't be doing this. But we're not going to harp on that. If you've been a victim, or you feel like you're a victim, or you're currently talking to somebody, there are some really good consultants out there that are probably doing really good work. If you guys have ever spoken to like Chad Marks, great guy, knows what he's doing, been doing this for a very long time, well before probably before anybody else was doing it. Chad Marks has been doing it. They're prison professor, white collar advice. I don't know if they do this per se, if it's like their primary thing, but if you are talking to them, There's no doubt in my mind that they're going to do their best to take you down the right pathway. Tom Root over at Legal Lisa. If you're talking to Tom, you're probably getting very, very good advice. Matter of fact, if you're ever calling me for legal work that is post-conviction, anything where it's like compassionate release, 99% of the time, we were utilizing Tom Root as part of, Tom Root's done a lot of work with federal prison time over the last several years, to the point where, everybody stays in their lane with us. We know what we're good at. And we also know that a lot of people are throwing Hail Marys when they're doing post-conviction type work, where most of it's just, it goes unheard, not responded, denied, and now you're out that money. And that's not the problem. If you really knew what you were getting into, if you really read the writing on the wall and you understand there's no guarantee. I know a lot of these douchebags will say no guarantee in their paperwork, but we know they say different things online. We've got screenshots of Facebook posts. We've got many people that have worked for some of these guys that have given us testimony. So when the feds come and knocking, you just want to make sure you're not part of that. And if you're out there working for some of these guys and you think you're doing the right thing, look, just because you're working for them and you're really trying to do the right thing, maybe you're being told, you really got to question who's behind the scenes, who's running the car, who's in charge of the bank accounts, how taxes are being paid. Because as many of you know that have been caught up in the federal prison system, just because you don't know something's going on, and when those cards fall, if you're there, if you've received funds, if you're talking to people and you're getting contracts signed, you can very easily get wrapped up into an indictment. And a lot of these guys boast online about how they don't cooperate and snitching and RDAP is for whatever. And I guarantee you, when this house of cards falls, the amount of 5K1s and cooperation that's going to fly out of that area of the world is going to be just ruthless. I mean, the amount of people that are probably going to get exposed is going to be pretty interesting to sit back and watch. We saw it happen a few years ago to RDAP law consultants with those guys. And it wasn't because they were doing consulting. It was because the way they were doing it, ruthless, shady, slimy. And that ruins it for the rest of us. So do your homework. If you've been scammed, fill it out. If you are getting ready to self-surrender, we've also got some free resources. Let me go and pull that up on our website. So over at federalprisontime.com, and there's a link in the description for that as well. If you're getting ready to self-surrender and you would like a free self-surrender checklist, this one's pretty cool. We've actually had this designed here. It's based on the website. Nothing you fill out here is stored, so we do not store any of your information. But as you can see, you can actually go through. You can have a checkbox. You can fill everything out right here. You can upload documents. It doesn't save anything. What it does is when you're done, you go back up to the top and you print it. Reason why that's pretty unique is you'll see on here, you've got things like your initial call list, people that you're going to be calling when you get into prison. So you're making a list. These are all the things that when people ask us for a self-surrender checklist, or what do I do before I go? What can I bring with me? What can't I bring with me? All of the ins and outs of what you need to know. We've decided to make a pretty detailed list here where you can fill everything out, your medication, so you can fill out your medical information in here. Again, nothing is saved. So we do not see anything that you do here. Mailing addresses, property mailing address. So when you get out, if you're going to have things mailed to you, after intake, first week, kind of what to expect, books, why you chose it, books you want to do. It kind of goes through all of the things that you're going to be going through at some point. All of these ideas are going to be running through your mind. So this is a great spot for you to start filling stuff out. And if you fill something out and you print it and you're like, oh shit, I forgot to do something, go back and print out another one. You can do 20 of these, 100 of these, whatever you want. But the goal is to give you guys a free resource. This costs you nothing. I get nothing from this. There's no email list you have to sign up for. It's just something on the website for free. I know that when I was going through what you guys are going through right now, I know that being terrified, scared of the unknown, what to expect, how do I properly prepare? Not everybody can afford the services of a prison consultant, whether it's post or pre-consulting, whatever it might be. So having some free resources can really make all of the difference. And I will tell you at the end of this form, however, if you are interested in getting a free call, there is a book your free discovery call. This is not mandatory. You don't have to fill it out. It's a free 15-minute call. There's also a link in the description that goes directly to that. So you can fill that out at any time that you want. You don't need to provide any information to us that you don't want to give to us. The goal here is, we've been doing this now since 2016. People helping people, communities method, one day at a time. So these videos, we try to make the videos that we do put out intended with purpose. So it's actually giving you something. A lot of people do not how to properly mitigate their sentence or mitigate their start of the process. Whether you're on, whether you've been indicted, you're under federal investigation. Many of you are hiring your attorneys just like you should, or you're being appointed your attorneys just like you should. The problem is a lot of you are just relying too much on the attorney to do all of the extras. And unfortunately, a lot of federal attorneys, whether you hired a state attorney that takes federal cases, or you're an attorney from, the criminal justice office, a lot of them are great at what they do, kind of negotiating your plea deal, figuring out what your points are, your custody level, things like that. But beyond that, qualifying for specific programs like RDAP, First Step Act, Second Chance, a lot of that, even though it sounds simple, if you go look online, it's like, oh, you just do this and this and you qualify. A lot of it is really the details. They say the devil's in the details, and it's very true. If you don't do your pre-sentence report correct, if you give them information that's not accurate, or when the report comes back, if it's missing information that you don't even know what to look for. So having a consultant that can guide you through these steps, work with you and your attorney, help you build a narrative that really demonstrates your accountability, when to provide your narrative to your probation officer, to put it into your pre-sentence report, all of these things, helping you hold your attorney accountable to a point where you're not just trusting what your attorney is telling you. So many times we've seen, and I'm not going to say it was a bad attorney, but things happen. You're getting ready, sentencing's coming up. You're submitting your narrative and your reference letters, and your attorney should be doing like a really good sentencing memorandum on you to provide kind of why the court should consider, at the very least, the low end of the guidelines, if not departing below the guidelines, especially if you've done things like a 5K1, or you really give some acceptance of responsibility, or you've assisted the government above and beyond. You really want to put yourself in the best possible situation to receive the best possible outcome. And sometimes that can mean a probated sentence, or a shortened sentence with a combination of like home confinement or halfway house. All of these things are options to the right individual that puts in the work. Not everybody is going to get a probated sentence. Not everybody is going to get, home confinement. A lot of you are absolutely going to prison. But if you prepare properly, you shouldn't be serving any more time than necessary in prison. And so many times we will see people serving a longer sentence due to a technicality, something that did not get identified in their pre-sentence report. They go to a prison that they didn't want to go to. Their attorney made a recommendation, or based on your own research, you're asking the attorney to recommend to the court a specific prison, which I'm sure most of you know. The judge has no say as to what prison you're going to go to. That's up to the Bureau of Prisons. However, an educated recommendation can definitely influence where you're going to go. But if you ask for somewhere that you really don't even qualify for, not only you're not going to go there, but now you just kind of get thrown into the whole round robin, and you end up going somewhere completely undesirable. Not that probably any prison is really desirable, but the option here is, if you know every step of the way what you should be doing, mentally preparing for this journey with your family, having your family feel free and comfortable to talk to you about this, what they can be doing to prepare, what you should be talking to your kids about, the mindset coaching that comes with the proper level of consulting, it makes all the difference, and not just serving a better sentence. But how many of you heard me say that the pretrial services phase, when you're out on pretrial, waiting to be sentenced, you're under your indictment, under your federal investigation, that is the real prison sentence 100%. So don't get yourself stuck in a situation where you're not sleeping at night, you're riddled with anxiety, you're arguing with your family, you're feeling suicidal, you're feeling like you want to go on the run. And then you get so desperate that you get to a point where you start researching and coming across information that just sounds way too good to be true. And you start feeling like, okay, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to give somebody this money. And at the end of the day, you're probably just getting ripped off or scammed. So fill out the links. There's a description in the video. or there's links in the video to fill out all of these different things. I hope you do take advantage of it. At the very least, take advantage of the self-surrender checklist, guys. Like I said, none of that information comes back to us. It's just a free resource for you. Well, that's all I got today. Hope you subscribe, like, and share this channel. Get the information out there for more and more people that are going through what you're going through, because you are absolutely not alone, whether you're very wealthy or you're just your average blue collar guy who got yourself in a jam. This process of what you're going through is a devastating blow to your head. But I can tell you, like many of us that have gone through it, came out the other side, everything gets better. You just got to put this behind you one day at a time, but you don't do that until you start taking accountability. All right, guys, I'm Dan Wise, Federal Prison Time Consulting, people helping people, communities method, one day at a time. Hope you all have a fantastic week. Peace, love, and happiness. Take care, everybody. Bye.